ladies and gentlemen, it is Alex from Maximum Charge. Welcome back to the channel, and if you are new here, welcome. Today we are on the Lectric XPeak 2.0. This is their updated version of the XPeak 1.0 that I think they released a year or two ago. And the XPeak 2.0 has a ton of different upgrades over the last version. You get an RST Renegade front fork. This particular version that I'm on is the step-through model, but it looks like the frame is extremely beefy and well designed. You get a huge front headlight, front 203mm disc brake rotor, a super silent and stealthy M24 motor, which is paired with a 24 amp controller, giving you a peak power of well over 1000 watts. And this bike does come shipped to you as a Class 2 bicycle. However, you can unlock it to be Class 3. And today we're going to be bringing the bike through all the usual tests: the 0 to 20 test, the hill climb test, the steep hill climb test, the brake test, and later, you guys stay tuned, I'm going to be doing a range test on this bike, a continuation of today's ride. We're going to be taking it on some single track mountain bike trails, so stay tuned for that second video coming up after this one. And after all that, you guys will know for sure if this is the right bike for you. Now, another great plus about Lectric is that they pride themselves in making e-bikes affordable. Currently, the base model of this bike is listed for $14.99. However, these bikes always go on sale from time to time, along with being bundled with certain accessories. So check the link in the description below for the most up-to-date price. And if you do love these reviews and you want to buy this bike, using that link to buy your bike will help support the channel at no extra cost to you. I receive a small commission from each sale using that link, and thank you so much to the people who are using my links. I really do appreciate it. So currently I'm seeing if the speedometer is accurate or not. Looks like we are doing pretty good. We might be off by at most 1 mile an hour. That is great. And without further ado, let's start off with our 0 to 20 throttle only acceleration test. Currently, I think this bike is at a Class 3 level, which means the throttle will cut us off at 20 miles an hour. Hopefully it is exactly at 20 miles an hour, not right before it, so we can actually get a good time. Here we go, throttle only, 0 to 20, 3, 2, 1, boom. Nice easy start, but not too easy. There it is, 20 miles an hour. So yeah, I cannot get more speed than 20 miles an hour from throttle. But if I pedal, it is still giving me power after 20 miles an hour. So yeah, we're in Class 3 mode right now. Let's move on to our long hill climb test. Here we go, long hill climb test, throttle only, 3, 2, 1, boom. Nice easy start. All right, and we're off. If you guys like reviews like this, if you guys like content like this, please feel free to subscribe to the channel if I have earned your subscription. Like the video if you like it, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future videos. And I am on social media, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and I have 2 Facebook groups, E-Bike Addict and High Speed E-Bikes 40 miles an hour and up. Feel free to follow me there and check out www.maximumchargeev.com for full leaderboard information. And there it is, guys. We finished off just under 20 miles an hour. I'll throw the times up for you on the screen. Let's check the free spinning wheel RPM. Pedal assist 5. So if you look right here, we're just about 20 miles an hour. It tops us off, but if I press the throttle again, watch this. There's a boost up to like 28, and then it slowly goes back down. I don't know why that is. See that? It goes back down to 20. So I can boost it. Quick push of the throttle. Boom. And I get a boost. Interesting. So it's like Class 3 plus almost. I don't know exactly how to describe it. I didn't feel this throttle push me past 20 miles an hour. Maybe the effect of that boost speed is minimal while you're actually riding this bike, but it is what it is. Moving on down to our steep hill climb tests. We're gonna head on down this hill. There's no point in testing the downhill top speed because, as you can tell, this is all gravity assisted. Right now I see the motor giving me 34 watts, which is essentially 0. So you will not get more than 20 miles an hour throttle only. And you can easily ride this bike on the sidewalk because It looks like a normal bicycle. It's a step-through frame design. It's got full-size wheels. It's got pedals. And if you're nice and slow and respectful like this, no one is going to have an issue with you whatsoever. Versus if you had some kind of e-moped style of bicycle, that might be problematic depending on which state you live in. And also follow all of your local laws regarding sidewalk riding. So something I have to say about this bike is that even though it is a hardtail, I do have the tires aired down to 20 PSI. And I think the holes in the wheels make the tires a lot smoother than they would normally be on a wheel without those holes. Those holes almost act like pressure release holes, so that when I do hit a bump, the tires compress more and it gives me a softer ride. I did just hit that curb and the front fork did phenomenally. Zero issues whatsoever while going over that curb. Handlebar width test. These are actually, I would say, on the narrower side for mountain bike handlebars. Those of you guys that really love to mountain bike a lot, you might want to get something wider, that way you get more control. But if you're getting this bike for normal cruising around town and maybe the occasional fire road, you're not going to be doing anything crazy mountain bike wise, this is going to be okay. Turning radius is pretty good. Look at that. We're getting to almost 90 degrees. Nice. This fork just barely does not have clearance underneath the frame. The battery actually has these little bumper pads on the casing of the battery itself. So the fork, when you turn it, it doesn't run into the battery. Let's run into this curb again. Boom. Easy. So for a hardtail, this bike is on the softer side because of the features of the tires and the wheels that I mentioned earlier, and because my XPeak currently has a suspension fork on it. Now it is a budget suspension fork. It does feel kind of clunky, but it will absolutely help smooth your ride out. All right, so we're gonna bring it down to gear 1, just in case we get stuck on our steep hill climb test. I'll be able to pedal. Here we go, steep hill climb test, 3, 2, 1, go. Nice, slow, easy start. I don't know if we're gonna make this. Let's see what happens, guys. We're climbing. Pulling almost 1300 watts, 1275, somewhere on there. Okay, look at that. We're doing it. Just about 5 to 6 miles an hour. Nice. And if I pedal, I could easily continue on. All right. Always nice to see a 48 volt e-bike be able to climb that hill throttle only, because not a lot of them can do that. And what's amazing is that this one did it with full-size wheels as well, which takes even more torque to do versus the smaller 20 by 4 inch size wheels that a lot of other e-bikes have. All right, that's good to know. So even though that M24 motor is super stealthy and silent, and the current on the controller isn't crazy high, this bike still provides you with a lot of low-end torque, which is going to come in handy for our mountain biking section. Stay tuned for that video coming up after this initial review ride. All right, we're going to move on down to our braking tests. We'll try and bring this bike as close as possible to 20 miles an hour and see how it brakes. Ready and brake. All right, right about there. There's our skid mark. And ladies and gentlemen, we did great. If a bike can stop before this crack in the road, we're already doing pretty good in terms of braking. Some bikes, believe it or not, that weigh just about as much as that bike end up going all the way over here to these divots in the road. That's what I use for my measurement tool. These little road markers are what I use for how well a bike stops. And we did pretty good. So the brakes on this bike are great. Hydraulic brakes, 203 millimeter rotor in the front. And these almost look like they are unlabeled, unbranded Tektro hydraulic disc brakes. I could be wrong on that, but these worked great. Moving on to our secondary top speed testing site, where we're going to check how it is pedaling this bike and the top speed of this bike. And before we get to that part, let's head back into the MCHQ, where I can show you guys all the specs and components of this bike. See you in a bit. Let's go over the specs and components of the new Lectric XPeak 2.0. We're going to start at the top. At the top, we have rubber ergonomic style locking handlebar grips. And as always, I do appreciate that the end has a cap on it so you can easily remove this and install a bar end mirror. Hydraulic disc brake levers, and we do have a left-hand side thumb throttle underneath. This is a much more ergonomically styled thumb throttle than some of the ones where you have to push down vertically. This one is very comfortable, and in fact, The button itself is ergonomically shaped so your thumb fits right in. Very nice. Simple minimalist 3-button control panel with a nice looking display, also simple and minimalist. In the display you can cycle through your odometer, trip distance, your voltage, which is amazing. I love it when companies allow you to see the voltage of your battery, which is a much more accurate indicator of how much charge you have left versus a battery bar. And they also show you how many watts you're pulling. So those two components, in my opinion, besides your pedal assist level and your speedometer, are the most important things to see on your display. And Lectric thankfully has included that. Nice job, guys. And you can also see the current that you are currently using. Get it? But that's already kind of calculated in your wattage. So it's current times voltage is gonna equal your wattage. And you can also see the time that the bike has been on. We get 5 levels of pedal assist. I'll show you guys the advanced settings of this display later in the video. And on the right hand side, we have an 8-speed Shimano trigger shifter. For light, this bike comes with a huge front headlight mounted at the top of the handlebars. Check this out. Big, bright headlight. Very nice. And it is mounted a little bit higher up on the bike. That means the light will be thrown further, allowing you to see further as well. And speaking of lights, here's what the backlight looks like, although it doesn't seem to act as a brake. I'm currently pressing the brakes and it is not changing at all. I don't know why. Yeah, so I'm pushing the brakes right now and there is no tail light. In my opinion, that's something that should have definitely been included. I am not 100% sure why Lectric didn't include that. Oh well. Moving on down to the fork. This is a very, very nice fork that Lectric did include in a budget-friendly electric mountain bike. Check this out. So this is an RST Renegade fork. This is a $400 fork or somewhere around there that Lectric did include on this bike. This is amazing. And this is something I've never seen on any other fork before. Check this out. On the preload, you get this little latch that you can flip up and more easily adjust the preload. Otherwise, these are sometimes kind of a pain to hold on to and adjust. And we also get compression and lockout adjustment up here. Nice. This is a very nice fork on a budget electric mountain bike. I'll show you guys on the screen how much travel this has right now. This fork is going to make for a very comfortable mountain biking experience. For fenders, you get a front plastic fender. Same thing in the rear. I am totally okay with plastic fenders. They're cheaper than metal fenders and they're also quieter as well. And these seem to be fairly durable. These fenders don't seem like they're gonna go anywhere. Another upgrade that Lectric did include on the XPeak 2.0 is a 203mm disc brake rotor, which is going to help a lot with stopping power, not just initially, but also throughout your ride, because these rotors do heat up, and the bigger the rotor, the more surface area there is for the rotor to dissipate heat and stay cool, which means better braking for you. This bike comes with 26 by 4 inch Chaoyang knobbies, pretty decent entry-level tire that's okay for on-road and off-road purposes. And check out these wheels. These wheels have these cutouts on them, and these cutouts do two things. Number one, they help reduce weight just a bit, but they also allow for some more pressure to be released. Let's say you do hit a big bump and there's a lot of force being put on the inner tube. These holes will allow the inner tube to expand into the holes, almost acting a little bit like a secondary form of suspension. So nice little feature that Lectric added. And by the way, these wheels do come with a through axle. This is a quick release through axle. This is a legitimate through axle setup, which is going to give you the comfort of knowing that this wheel is not going to go anywhere. Moving on down, let's take a look at this frame. So obviously this is the step-through version of this frame. I think step-through bikes are the future, especially for light to moderate off-roading, and especially because Lectric has designed the step-through frame in what looks to be a pretty robust way. Check out this brace right here. So it's not some skinny little part down here. There's a lot of reinforcement put through this frame. I think this frame is going to be pretty stable and solid even during moderate off-roading. And currently this bike comes with an included 40mm suspension seat post. However, this bike still has a fairly low seat height, which is going to make it perfect for all types of riders. It looks like the minimum seat height with the suspension seat post is about 32 inches, so if you did want to make that lower, you would just get a regular seat post, so you could bring the seat down further. Cable management on this bike looks amazing. It is routed directly into the frame, giving the bike a nice clean look. And by the way, this frame has lots of places to attach accessories. You've got 3 mounts right here and another mount back here. So what that means is, in theory, you can put your water bottle right here, and I have seen people mount secondary batteries right over here, which is kind of a nice feature of this step-through frame. It is going to eat up some real estate of the step-through cavity. However, what's cool is that you can mount 2 batteries in parallel and get a ton of range from your already long-range e-bike, because this is actually the extended range battery. So Lectric offers a standard 15 amp hour battery, but if you want, you can select the long range 20 amp hour battery, which is going to cost a little bit more. But of course, with the same exact size battery and frame, you'll be able to get more range. And it also looks like the long range version does come with some extra accessories. On the side of the frame, you get a charge port for the battery, which is sealed with a water resistant cover. And for brakes, you get a dual piston setup in the front and another dual piston setup in the back. However, the back rotor does come with a 180mm rotor, but that's okay because the front brake is going to be doing a lot more work anyway. This bike comes with 2 of these little keys. Let's go ahead and use the key right now to take the battery out. Get the keyhole on the other side of the frame. Let's throw the key in. Turn the key, it's going to unlock the battery. And then you press this button to release the battery. Here's what the battery looks like. This is fairly heavy because it is a long range battery. Here's some information on the actual battery. As you could tell, 48 volt, 960 watt hours. The battery of this bike, along with the bike itself, is UL certified, which means you're going to be good riding this bike in whichever state you want, especially because more and more states are requiring UL certifications for the battery and the bike. Thankfully, you are covered because everything is UL certified. Looks like the bottom of the battery also has its own little charge port, so obviously you can take this battery out and charge it as well. And the top of the battery has its own power indicator. You press the button and it will show you roughly how much charge is left in the battery. And to put it back in, you line up the contacts in the bottom and then latch that back in and you are good to go. Oh, and don't forget to take the key out. For a charger, this bike comes with a 2 amp charger, which is okay. Although on Lectric's website, you can order the fast 5 amp charger. And Lectric has thought of everything, even a little detailer right here. If you notice, there is a small little rubber stopper, and that is so when you do turn this bike all the way to one side, the front fork does not mar up the battery. Nice. For a seat, you get a pretty basic, firm, and medium width Lectric branded seat. Looks like we've got some little springs underneath as well. The rear rack on this bike is on the more robust side. As you can tell, it is labeled to support up to 60 pounds. And I do like that the fender itself is hooked up to the rear rack. What that's gonna mean is this fender is not gonna flop around all over the place. I have reviewed bikes where that's the case, and thankfully Lectric has thought of this nice little detail to help keep things quiet. And for a motor, we have a 750 watt nominal geared hub motor, which does use a 24 amp controller, which means the peak wattage of this e-bike is going to be 1152 watts at the nominal 48 volts. And the motor is advertised to have 85 Newton meters of torque. And by the way, this motor is advertised to be an extra quiet geared hub motor, what Lectric calls their M24 Stealth series of motors. So that means that it's not going to be noisy on the trails, it's not going to bother anyone, it's not going to bother you. A quieter e-bike is always a nice thing. And the transmission is an 11 to 32 tooth freewheel. Very cool. Which will be good for high to mid-range speeds. I would have liked to see a lower granny gear, which is better for climbing, especially since this is advertised as a mountain bike. Nice looking Lectric branded rubber chainstay protector. This bike comes with a pretty good sized 46 tooth chainring, which means that ghost pedaling will likely not be an issue on this bike. Oh, and by the way, this bike also comes with a torque sensor, which means the pedaling experience is going to feel much more natural than a cadence sensor. I know a lot of you guys like your torque sensors, and I do know that Lectric did tune this torque sensor to make it so that at higher power levels, you're not gonna have to rely on your legs all that much. However, at lower power levels, you will get a more natural feeling pedaling experience. And Lectric does give you nice looking pedals. These are metal pedals that look like they're gonna really grip into your shoes nicely, which is always good. And by the way, they are also removable. Look at that. Let's put that back in. Nice. And for a full-size, fat-tired e-bike, this is actually a fairly lightweight bike. It's advertised to be around 64.5 pounds without the battery, so probably around 75 pounds with the battery. Max payload on this bike is 330 pounds, and the recommended rider height is between 5'2" to 6'3".
With my height of 5'10" and a 29-inch inseam, I can comfortably pedal this bike with the seat about 2 to 3 inches higher than its lowest position. If I did want more leg extension in order to increase pedaling efficiency, I could raise the seat up even higher. The step-through frame makes this bike easy to mount and dismount, and obviously the standover height is going to be very low. Here's what I look like sitting on this bike with the seat height at its lowest position. Even with the added height of the suspension seat post, I can still easily stand over the seat, meaning this bike is great for smaller riders. And remember, you can swap out the suspension seat post to a standard seat post to make the seating position even lower.
In addition to that, we do also have a couple accessories. I have a nice looking foldable lock in here, which looks like it has all the mounts already installed. So you can put it on your e-bike like so. And check this out, guys. This is a mini torque wrench. Wow. So what you do is you put one of these bits into the end of the torque wrench, and then you can see how tight you can tighten something. This is super useful to have. And let's see what's in this bag, the replacement parts bag. And looks like inside the bag we have some Allen wrenches, some zip ties. This looks like an extra wire that goes to the rear brake. This bike comes shipped as a Class 2 e-bike, but I think you can unlock it to be a Class 3 e-bike. Let's go over how to do that now. All right, guys, let's go over the advanced settings of the display. So we're gonna hold the plus and the minus buttons down. We start off with P1, which is going to give you the ability to adjust your display brightness. We're going to keep that at 3. P2, mile an hour or kilometer an hour adjustment. Keep that at miles an hour. P3 is set to 48 for the 48 volt battery, which is what this bike has. We're going to keep that. P4 is the amount of time this bike will stay on if you're not using it. It's currently set to 10 minutes. P5, you cannot change P5. P6 is your wheel size adjustment. This is gonna either make your speedometer less accurate or more accurate. You can adjust that and compare it to a GPS app on your phone to make sure it's as accurate as possible. P7 doesn't look like we can adjust that as well. P8 is where you can turn this bike from Class 2 to Class 3. So currently it's set to 32 miles an hour. If we press the up arrow, switch it to 45. Let's see what difference that makes. So let's go all the way up to pedal assist 5. So if we go ahead and pedal while we're in that speed, it will bring us all the way up to 28 miles an hour. P9 set at 0 means the throttle will work from 0 miles an hour. Otherwise, if you switch it to 1, the bike has to be already moving in order for the throttle to work. We'll keep that at 0. With the P10 adjustment, you can switch this from a throttle only bike to a pedal assist only bike to both throttle and pedal assist. And as you could tell, it did quickly switch back to the main menu, so you have to act fast when you are switching the settings. P11 is your torque multiplier, so that's going to change the amount of power you get based on how hard you pedal. P12 makes your lights flash, so check this out. Right now we're at 0, it's normal, but if I switch it to 1, the lights are blinking. So the front light blinks and the back light. Look at that. That's kind of cool for a safety feature. And if you notice on the display, it's flashing as well. But if I go ahead and turn the lights on, if I hold the plus button, it does stop the lights from blinking and keeps them on, just like they normally would work. If we turn the lights off, it goes back to blinking. Let's turn that off. P13 changes the walk assist speed. So 0 is 3 miles an hour. 1 is 3.7 miles an hour. P16 will reset the odometer if you hold the plus button for 5 seconds. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the review ride. We are on the way to our secondary top speed testing site where we're going to test the top speed, how the pedal assist feels, and more. So sometime last year, Lectric reached out to me and said, hey, Alex, you want to come out and join a bunch of YouTubers to test drive a couple brand new bikes that we got coming out? Oh, by the way, it's going to be 110 degrees Fahrenheit and we'll have you mountain biking in the desert. I said, say less. Here's a little bit of footage from that. Woo! Hill climb test, solid torque. Go, 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 go. Pedal strike, branch, come on. And that was a really great time, but now we are giving the Lectric XPeak its official review ride, pretty much almost on the other side of the country. Sidewalk of Doom. I feel that suspension seat post working a lot. Wow, that's helping way more than I thought it would. Nice, you get this like bouncy feeling in your seat, almost like if you guys have ever seen those truck drivers that have the seats that move. And that's what this feels like. This actually feels pretty good. That plus the big tires and the RST Renegade front fork all help you forget that this is even a hardtail bike in the first place. Let's test the ghost pedaling. So here we are. Here's my cadence. Speedometer is showing 30 miles an hour, and I'm not getting any power whatsoever from the motor. So ghost pedaling will not be an issue with this bike. This bike has plenty of high-speed gearing. And speaking of pedaling, this bike has a torque sensor on it, but not just any torque sensor, because some torque sensors barely give you any power. You really gotta hammer down on the pedals to get a good amount of power. This one actually gives you a good amount of assist for how much you're pedaling. So it's almost like a hybrid cadence torque sensor in that it gives you the best of both worlds, because something that I find annoying for torque sensors is that it forces you to exercise. And that's fine if that's what you want. However, when I personally e-bike, my primary goal is not to exercise. It's enjoyment. But some cadence sensors are very clunky feeling. They give you a ton of power all up front, and then there's a hard stop at a specific speed. Whereas this, again, it gives you what feels to be like the best of both worlds. So the pedaling experience on this is great. Very smooth power delivery, where you still do have to push, but just barely. So check this out. We're gonna bring it down to pedal assist 1, bring it to the lowest gear. So right now I do have to push to get any kind of power from the motor. I gotta push pretty hard. But if I bring it to pedal assist 5, it'll feel like it just amplifies your pedal strokes. And so now I barely have to push at all to get power, but I still have to push a little bit. I could even switch it to the 3rd gear and go a little bit faster. So this is one of the smoothest torque sensors that I've ever experienced. If you guys are interested in a bike with a well-calibrated torque sensor, this might be the bike for you. And check this out, guys. So I went into the advanced settings and I made it so pedal assist 1 will not give me more than about 10 miles an hour. In case you want to just putt around on a walking path, you're not interested in going 20 miles an hour. Pedal assist 2 and higher will give you the full 20 mile an hour top speed. See that, 20 miles an hour? And it doesn't give you that power boost either. Pedal assist 3, that gives you that little boost initially to get you going. See how it went faster than 20 for a second? And then pedal assist 5 gives you an even stronger boost in speed. So even if I'm on pedal assist 1 and I start pedaling, I will not get more speed than 10 miles an hour. Pedal assist 2 looks like it cuts my power off at about 15 miles an hour. I'm only getting 23 watts, pedaling as hard as I can. Pedal assist 3. Pedal assist 3 is still giving me power well over 20 miles an hour. So it seems like pedal assist 1 and 2, you can set in the settings to be slower speed pedal assist levels and slower throttle levels. Let's talk about the handlebar area, the contact points, and the electronics. So the display on this bike is upgraded from the last XPeak model. Black background, bright white lettering, big numbers and letters to look at, very easy to read. And you get everything you need. You get your battery bar, you get how much wattage you're using, obviously speedometer, pedal assist level, odometer, and I love that you can also see your voltage. Extremely useful for getting an accurate reading of where your battery is, because a lot of times the battery bar is inaccurate, but your voltage will tell you exactly where you're at battery-wise. The ergonomic styled thumb throttle underneath the left handlebar grip does feel great. Simple minimalist control panel stays out of the way. The 8-speed paddle shifter does feel good as well. Paired with the ergonomically styled handlebar grips, I do really like these a lot. The seat is moderately wide, on the firmer side, kind of a more aggressively styled seat, but I know a lot of you guys replace those seats anyway, so we're not going to talk too much about that. The pedals in this bike are phenomenal. They are metal pedals that aren't easily removable. You don't have to screw them on at all. They just pop right out. And they have big metal studs on them that do dig into the bottom of your shoe, giving you a very secure and confidence-inspiring grip, which is going to be important if you're using this bike for light mountain biking. All right, guys, so that is the initial review ride of this bike. What we're going to do now is head over to an off-road trail where this ride plus that ride and back will give us an idea of what the range is on this e-bike. And by the way, I do have the upgraded 20 amp hour version of this bike, so we'll see what kind of range we get. But that's it for today's specific video. If you guys are interested in buying this bike and love these kinds of reviews, please feel free to use the link in the description below. Using that link to buy your bike will give me a small commission from each sale of the bike, which does help support the channel. And if I have earned your subscription, please feel free to subscribe to the channel, like the video if you like it, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future videos. And if you don't like this video, tell me in the comments. Tell me why you're mad. And tell me in the comments what you guys think of the Lectric XPeak 2.0. I think this is a very nice looking bike. Great for someone who's looking for their first e-bike. That's kind of an all-arounder, class 3, staying within the legal realm of the laws. And you could do some light off-roading with this bike as well. Let me know what you think in the comments below. All right, we're gonna head on over to our mountain biking area. Stay tuned for that video coming up next. But that is it for today's review ride. Until next time.